year. The energy needs will only grow. We in Colorado can be part of the answer in how we ensure that growth like that can take place, but with an eye toward reducing carbon emissions. We have to do that. We in the world have to do it. We in Colorado can play such an important role in doing that, and so certainly there is a social good that is a global social good that comes with that, but it creates jobs in the same time, and so it creates a better economic environment in Colorado to do that. That was really, I think, what I came home with is what I would say the umbrella benefit from this is to understand the role Colorado can play in addressing an extremely important worldwide challenge. With that, I'm going to ask Don Elliman, my Director of the Office of Economic Development and International Trade, to make some comments. He'll be followed by Joe Blake, who is the President of the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce and accompanied us, and he'll be followed by the Interim President of Colorado State University, Tony Frank. Don?
Thanks, Governor. Good evening. It's 3 o'clock in the morning where we came from yesterday, so cut us a bit of slack. I'm kidding. You know, I think when we started this trip, a number of us had different expectations about what we were going to try and what we could achieve. My basic theory, having spent a good part of my life doing business in the Far East, was that our main goal was to begin to deliver a consistent message about Colorado and the opportunities that it afforded, and to do that in two markets that offer a tremendous amount of economic opportunity for us, both in the near term and in the long term. The sort of lucky strike extra was going to be if we were able to begin to develop specific contacts with companies in the Far East or specific institutions in the Far East that we could build upon. For my nickel, I think what we found was a greater sense of common economic interest than I certainly expected to discover. The clear message that we got back from both our Japanese contacts and the Chinese contacts were that whenever we were talking about air travel, as we did initially, whenever we were talking about life sciences, and whenever especially we started talking about new energy, that there was a very real and palpable interest on the other side of the table. In air travel, as the Governor mentioned, I think our conversations with ANA and with Ritter were even more optimistic, not to be Pollyannish about it, it's going to be a competition, but they were more optimistic than I certainly had been led to believe they might be. In bioscience, that's true, and it was most especially true in the renewable energy sector, where every time that subject came up, lights went on the other side of the table. We also ended up with 4 companies, 1 in China and 3 in Japan, where quite specific follow-up is in order and will take place, as the Governor mentioned. It's certainly my expectation that not only will we get visitation from the airline and the travel sector back here, but also from bioscience companies and from especially from renewable energy companies, and it will be up to us to go back and see them on their home turf again. So I was frankly more than pleased by the specific areas of opportunities that we found and that we have the chance to follow up on. I would just echo the last thing that the Governor said, which is, you know, if you've been in the marketing business in your life, that's pretty much all I've ever done. The one thing you know is that when times are tough, that is the one time you do not stop selling. And that's what we were doing over there. We were trying to sell the fact that Colorado offered a series of opportunities for people to invest in both idea creation and in economic opportunity specifically, and I think we got our message across, or began to get our message across, and built a foundation for what I hope will be a significant growth opportunity for us here, and to benefit back to the people in those 2 countries. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you also for being here this morning, and I particularly want to thank the Governor for leading this delegation. We had an opportunity to see Governor Ritter in action in both of these countries, dealing with opportunities for business and particularly opportunities with All Nippon Airlines. That opportunity with ANA is something that is so clear, something that we are so excited about, and as the Governor has indicated, we have really strong expectations that something good is going to happen about that in the next 18 to 20 months, and we're very optimistic about it. Let me put something in context, if I might. You probably know that Canada is our largest trading partner, then Mexico. What you may not know is that China is our third largest. They this past year had $488 million in exports. Japan is our fourth with $359 million. So when we talk about these two countries, we're talking about two countries where their exports have exponentially grown each year in the past several years. We're talking about an area for competition with other states. As the governor has indicated, clearly this is a competitive world. We know now is the time that we need to deal with, if we're going to generate jobs here in the United States, and particularly here in Colorado, dealing with those markets. We see opportunity, but we also see enormous competition from other states. The other thing I want to mention that I think is very clear in what we have been about these last several days in these various countries is this, and I want to pick up and underscore what the governor said. It's about persistence and it's about consistency. This trip was actually the fourth trip in the last 13 months to Japan. And it is a very well thought out idea about how do we deal with marketing, how do we deal with tourism, how do we tie in A&A, how do we tie in these other businesses, how do we deal with our opportunities, and Dr. Frank is going to talk about that, with our major research institutions here in signing cooperative agreements to expand our relationships with those institutions of higher learning in Asia. We have had, this is the fourth capstone by the leadership of Governor Ritter, to make this opportunity come true. And it's going to require persistence. As the governor indicated, the Chamber, Denver Metro Chamber, signed a cooperative agreement with the Beijing Trade Chamber. That provides us with a footing that now will allow us to expand our areas of opportunity going forward. Our economic development people will be over in Beijing later this spring, dealing with air route opportunities ahead of us. We do see the opportunity now to move forward, moving in the area of bioscience, moving in the area of marketing, and particularly in the opportunities as we see moving ahead with A&A. We come back, I think, as Don Elliman just said, when the market's down,